I need some traction. You need some traction.
Awesome! This is great. What do you guys think of this event? I think it's great. Man, I learned a ton here today. I wish that I had something like traction available to me when I started my entrepreneurial career in 2000. Honestly, you guys are lucky to be able to get this kind of knowledge. Really great. So we're going to talk about devotion hacking today. But first I'm going to start off with a little bit of a story. So I had dinner with a really interesting entrepreneur about a month ago. His guy's name is Carl Pei. Okay, he's the founder and CEO of a company called OnePlus, one of the fastest growing companies in the world. They make handsets based in Shenzhen, China. Have anybody heard of OnePlus? Yeah, really, really interesting company. In 2014, over $300 million in revenue, marketing budget, 300 bucks. How do you do that? Well, you're not going to, this is an old deck. This is really interesting. So what he did, I'm going to go backwards. His first product that he built wasn't a handset. His first product that he built was an online community. And he asked these devotees in the community, these people who were big fans of smartphones, what should we have in the camera? What should we put in the accelerometer? Tell me about the features that you want. What trade-offs would you make? And the community provided guidance for him as to what to build. And the community is his primary means of distributing the product. And that is how he sold $300 million worth of smartphones with $300 in marketing budget. Now, you might have echoes to some other success stories. Might sound familiar, right? Slack, fastest growing enterprise software company of all time. Has anybody here ever received a marketing email from Slack? I've never seen one. Fastest growing enterprise software company, they spend almost nothing on marketing. Tesla, amazing product to be sure, right? Big idea, ridding the world of dependence on foreign oil, right? Big brand, but that brand is fueled by tens of thousands of fervent advocates who tell all their friends about how great that product is. Right? So increasingly, the most competitive companies in the world today are being built with the customer at the heart of their business model, and it makes them incredibly efficient. Now look, not all of us could build the next Tesla or Slack, but there are principles in what they're doing that are applicable to your businesses, and we've employed them and like to tell you all about it. So it's not all good in Marketerville out there, okay? So we've heard a lot of growth hacking and ninjutsu and all kinds of stuff today, but truth is, right, is that people are just being bombarded, being inundated. How do you feel about your email inbox right now? Does it make you feel like, oh, there's so much email to get through, delete, 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 right? People are just inundated with noise all the time, with ads and with emails and all this sort of thing. Anybody sort of SaaS founders or marketing leaders that are here? Yeah? How do you feel about your pipeline right now? How do you feel about your likelihood of hitting your pipeline targets? A little nervous, right? It's getting tough out there. And that's because there's been such a big change in the buying process, right? Things have changed. People have become accustomed to having more trust and some more transparency in the buying process. The social web is changing everything. So, great Canadian thinker, have you heard of Marshall McLuhan? Oh, he's big in the 70s. So Marshall McLuhan had a famous saying. He said, the medium is the message, right? The medium is the message. It's a very provocative idea, right? And that is the vehicle by which you receive that message is actually more important than the content that's in there. He was really big in the 70s, and he was studying television. And television was amazing for its ability for like these madmen on Madison Avenue to almost literally program the viewer using things like hypnosis techniques, using things like subliminal messages, literally program the viewer to want something that they didn't need. And that became part of the message. Part of the message of that time was that this age of television, you could actually program people. Right? That's a big deal. But the disruptive innovation of our time is the social web. And the social web is changing the expectations that buyers have for the buying process. Right? They're looking for much more authenticity, much more directness, transparency, and trust in that process. And that means that we need to adapt to that as well. So what I'm going to talk to you about today, okay, is how to get more of these fervent people, these advocates who are so important to our businesses, right? So important to you. How to get them really motivated, right? Really fired up. Everyone has a little bit of advocate in them. Okay? So it's not just the people who are most fervent. I believe that everybody has that opportunity to advocate. We have an expansive definition of what advocacy is. So when you think of advocacy, you probably think of referrals, right? Like Matt was talking about just before. People who are referring other users and customers to you, and for sure those are really important. Okay, those of you who are raising money know that you need happy customers as references for VCs. Those are important too, right? You know you need those customer stories. But we think it's bigger than that. We think it's any non-financial investment in your company, in your product, in your brand. So people who give you feedback on your product and how to improve, does that count? Yeah, I think so. People who give you feedback on how you do your marketing. We just launched a new website 2 days ago. Check it out, Influitive.com. Really built with our advocates. They're the ones who gave us all the ideas on what to do. Right? That absolutely counts. None of you would be here today, would have the success you have today if it wasn't for people that were advocating for you, right? For you as individuals. And so that's, I think, our job as business people is to figure out how to develop these advocates, how to delight customers, build advocates, and how to mobilize them, how to get the full potential out of each one. So I'm going to talk about a couple things today, both the macro part of advocacy, so the big picture and what motivates advocates, but also in the micro effect too, the kinds of things that you can put into your advocate programs, the growth hacking, if you will, that will allow them to be successful. All right, so when I went to start my company, I didn't build a product. I started by doing a lot of research, and I interviewed over 800 of people you might call super advocates. These are people who do more than 200 pieces of advocacy a year, okay, 200 referrals or references, that sort of thing. And I asked them a very simple question. What would it take for you to triple the amount of activity that you do on behalf of a company or product or brand that you love? What would it take? And I got all kinds of really interesting information. Really, the main items I learned is people want to look good to their peers. They want to feel good about themselves. Right? You heard about ego from Ada. That's exactly what the main items are. And so I codified what they told me in this model. Want to be part of an exclusive tribe. They want to have meaningful impact on the world. And third, they want real social capital. They also told me they want entertainment, and they want it to be rewarding, and they want it to be easy. That's in the micro, and I'm going to tell you about that later. But let's start with this advocate motivation model. So why do people paint their faces at sporting events? Like these Raiders fans over here, why do people do that? Right. Why do people like carve Diego Maradona into their hair? Right? Or even permanently tattoo their bodies with these images of their affiliation? Have you ever seen anybody tattoo like Suzuki motorcycles on their arm? I haven't seen that. But Harley Davidson, yeah. Why is that? Because Harley Davidson is a lot more than just a motorcycle, right? It's a big idea. Freedom, right? Freedom on wheels. It's a big idea. People long to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. They want to be part of an exclusive tribe. So if you're going to go and create an advocate community, which I highly recommend that you do, give it an identity. Give it a strong brand. Give it something aspirational and inspirational that people really want to be a part of. And they were going to feel a lot more motivated to go and advocate for you. Number 2, meaningful impact. People have a need to understand the impact that they're making on the world. Don't you? Right? All organisms need feedback, even like bacteria. We all need feedback. So when people do some advocating for you, if they refer a new business to you, you should tell them, here's what's happened with your referral. They've gone into the demo stage. Hey, it's great, they've closed. Oh, they didn't close because of this. If someone writes a guest blog post for you, tell them how popular it is. If people speak on stage for you, let them know what the ratings were and how they might even be able to do better next time. People long to understand the meaningful impact they make on the world. So that's number 2. And number 3, people are looking for social capital. So it's great that within the community that the advocate is a real rock star. That's great. But you know what's really, really freaking great? Is when they can take that capital and when it's meaningful for them outside of the community. When it helps them get promotion, when it helps them get a raise, helps them get a better job, right? Helps them improve their life in some way. Right? So this picture here is that of my customer, Bo Bandy, who's just won a BAMI Award, Best Advocate Marketer Award. She's a very happy woman, right? She's got this giant 20-pound exclamation mark that she can now show off in her office, and she can put this on her LinkedIn, and she has received 2 promotions since working with us. We're very proud of that. Right? That's real social capital. So one company that really gets this is Tesla. Tesla doesn't do any traditional marketing. They have no commission sales reps. They're really growing very quickly. One of the things they do very well is community. So the Tesla Motors Clubs is an amazing online community that gets prospective buyers of Teslas together with happy owners of Teslas to go and communicate with each other. They also do some really cool things offline. So these 2 ladies here are at a Tesla car rally. These rallies have a conversion rate of 70%, 7-0. 70% of people who participate in these car rallies buy a Tesla. Now, just to contrast that, it's 12% in traditional car retailing, and that's with a test drive. Okay, these car rallies don't necessarily get a test drive. So it's pretty amazing, right? And Tesla's taken that a step further. They've actually built the referral program right into the car. Okay, when you fire up your Tesla, and if it's integrated with your address book, it actually asks you, would you like to go and refer Boris Wirtz to our program, right? And if Boris buys a car, he saves $1,000, you save $1,000. But wait, it goes a step further. If you're so good that you can get 10 people to buy a car, well, then you are eligible for the Founders Edition of the X Series car, which has every option included. It is not available to the general public. It is only available to advocates. It's an advocate edition only. So can you imagine the cred you get from that? Showing that off to all your friends. I've got a Founders Edition. You cannot buy it for any price. That's social capital, a capital C. So they get it, right? Cool. So that's the macro approach, right? We're talking about exclusive tribe, meaningful impact, social capital. Let's talk about the micro now. That's also really important. We're going to get into some growth hacking stuff. Love growth hacking. So I look at growth hacking as a couple of items, a couple of categories. White hat and black hat. So for me, the white hat growth hacking is all about the testing and experimentation and iteration. You've heard a lot about that over the last 2 days. But this applied to advocates as opposed to users or to customers. So let's go and talk about that. You know a lot about user experience, right? Customer experience. Advocates have a desired experience too, right? They're looking to have the best possible experience in referring and telling stories and all that for you. So the goal of your white hat growth hacking is to engineer the best possible experience for advocates so they do a lot more work for you. And I'll show you this is actually what our advocate communities look like. So you will see challenges where people are doing asks and tasks, asking for referrals and references and case studies and videos and all that kind of stuff. You'll also see educational challenges. So one of the things that we've learned is if all you do is ask people for favors, it doesn't work that well. Right? So if you also try to educate people, then they enjoy the experience more. The other thing we learned is that the more entertainment we put in this thing, the better it's performed. So we've got all kinds of random stuff in our hubs, like what do you think Trump will do next? Or play a game of checkers, another advocate. I mean, it's really quite amazing. So we found that this combination of entertainment, learning, and asks and tasks have been really, really successful. We gamify it, so we have badges, we have leaderboards, we've got all kinds of other great stuff. And we can really tweak that, right? We can iterate and test. If we double the number of points, can we get triple the amount of activity, for example? So here's a great example of A/B testing. So one of the ideas that we tested was if we put the actual face and the voice, if you click on an ad, the voice of the advocate, will we get a better response? Turns out we got a 7x response, a 7% increase, 7x increased close rate on the leads generated from ads when you have the actual voice and the face of the advocate in there. Really cool, eh? 7x. But it gets even better. When we would tell the advocate, put your face here and record your voice here, and this is what's going to happen, then we got a much increased rate of advocates willing to participate in this process. Okay, so pretty interesting stuff. So when you put those two together, pretty massive increase. So this is the idea of this white hat type of growth hacking. Let's talk about black hat growth hacking. So quick story. I was on a board of a company that made a social cricket game selling into South Asia. There was a guy in the company, his name was Shredder. No one told me what his real name is, but Shredder figured out how to text spam every single cell phone in India and Pakistan. Caused a massive increase in traffic. I did get off that board. But I mean, that's the idea of black hat growth hacking. It's finding those undiscovered channels, right? Think about the famous Airbnb exploit, right? The exploit of Craigslist. That put Airbnb on the map, right? Finding these other things. So that's black hat growth hacking. Still important. Kind of on the edge of legality, but you still need it. I got a great story with respect to my customer Dell Case and Reddit. So one of the things that you can do with an advocate program is you can ask people a really provocative question. What is newly influential for you in the last 6 months? Who or what is newly influential where you spend time today and you didn't spend time 6 months ago? It's a great question. And one of the things that Dell Case found out, this was 3 years ago, was that Reddit was super influential. Really? Reddit? Isn't that a place for anarchists and bad jokes and stuff? Turns out it's becoming a real business tool. Interesting, eh? And then so they asked their advocates and said, can you start posting some stuff in Reddit? And they were getting tons of product reviews. And more interestingly, they would have people that never even heard of Dell Case before and started to sign up for it as a result of their experience. So pretty amazing. When you put all this stuff together, okay, when you have the macro factors, the exclusive tribe, meaningful impact, social capital, together with your white hat and your black hat advocate marketing, it creates a pretty amazing results. We have over 300 customers now that are doing this stuff. One of the things that I'm most excited about is a founder CEO. How many founder CEOs do we have in here? Founder CEOs, awesome. One of the biggest challenges you're going to have is alignment, right? How do you get everybody to go and row in lockstep? It's hard, especially if you don't want to micromanage them. So here's one easy way to do it. Say, here's our goal here, people in our company. We're here to delight customers, build advocates, and mobilize them. That's it. That's how you get product. That's how you get operations and the commercial side of business all working hand in hand. Who wouldn't disagree with that? Right? Build advocates and mobilize them. So I'm going to wrap up here. Make advocates your messengers. If you build this as your central organizing principle and you become the advocacy leader in your space, I pretty much guarantee you'll also be the market leader. Okay, so win your markets, and let's go have a drink. Thanks.
I need some traction. You need some traction.